So, hello everyone, welcome to the next Tomb Raider podcast from TombRaider.com. Today it's Keir from London, and I have with me Catherine, who's the brand manager for Tomb Raider, and Daryl Gallagher, who's the director of art over at Crystal. So, hello guys.
Hello.
Hi Keir.
Thanks very much for taking the time to do the podcast. We're just going to have a quick chat about what you guys have been working on recently. So, Daryl, could you give us a bit of background on what you've been doing for Underworld so far?
Yeah, sure. Well, basically, my role is pretty diverse. I generally kind of have I work on all things art for the studio as the director of art, so I cover a lot of different bases. We have multiple projects in the studio. We have multiple teams, so there's a need for a lot of attention in a lot of different places. So generally, I work a lot with the art directors in game, working on the game, on Tomb Raider Underworld and previous Tomb Raider titles, to make sure that we're hitting our goals as a studio and for the project. A lot of work with the technical staff, making sure that we've got an engine that's capable of delivering fantastic looking art. And in also working with the marketing group, in particular Catherine,
Yes.
especially on this project, to create visuals for the marketing campaign.
Okay. So you have quite a lot of input into the graphics and the final look of the game.
Yes, yeah. I mean, as I said, I have a lot of input there and work with the art directors and the teams to make sure that we're hitting the goals that we're setting for ourselves.
That leads on to a question that War Dragon asked on the forums, and he'd like to know, or she'd like to know, how similar the finished levels are to the concept art, and what types of changes are made from the concept art to the actual level.
That's a good question. Well, in general, we try and stick to the concept art as much as possible. We have some fantastic concept artists in the building, some of the best in the business, as you've probably seen from the work going out. And really, that helps us kind of define the look, and we want to stick to that as much as possible because a lot of thought goes into the concept art. But at the same time, the concept art doesn't really cater to gameplay and 3D space. So really, where you see a lot of the changes come down to once we actually turn it from 2D into 3D. Sometimes it doesn't necessarily work as well as it could. So you might want to make changes to the actual concept art to cater for gameplay in lighting and layout and areas where it becomes difficult for players to navigate in particular. So, there are some changes, but in general, we do try and stick as closely as possible to the inspiration.
Okay. And how do you feel about the screens that have gone out so far? Are you quite happy about the new Mexico level screens that were released recently in terms of the team's feelings towards those?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're really excited for the next set of screens to go out. In particular with Mexico, as you saw on the release. I mean, there's a huge difference between Mexico in November and Mexico today, and that's really because we're constantly improving the engine, the code, the artwork, and our ability to really push to the highest level. So, we've learned a lot in the last 6 months. We've pushed it a lot in the last 6 months, and it's great to see the screens going out to showcase some of that work that we've done.
Cool. And you mentioned that you're involved in the marketing side of things as well, and a lot of people saw the first logo that went out around Christmas, which was obviously the initial version. But people would like to know how much input you had in the final version that's recently gone out.
Yeah, I mean, I was involved in that with Catherine and Carl Stewart, the US marketing director. We were all involved a lot. And the logo went through about 50. How many different iterations?
Wow, we started working on it last year, so it was really last summer. Yeah, so a lot. So
it went through a lot of different iterations, and ultimately, the logo needs to work well with the pack shot. So some of the logos that we got in through the 50 or 60 different iterations, they weren't in context with the final pack shot. So that's one of the things that we needed to do was see it in context. And ultimately, with the logo that we ended up going with, we really wanted to go with brand equity from the Tomb Raider logo. That we wanted to evolve it and push it into a kind of a next-gen space, but really retain kind of some of the roots from the last games. And, that's what we've done with the logo.